Greetings and welcome back to Zord's Planetary Space Program episode 29, where we are approaching Jool with a glitchy encounter. Here we go. This is the crewed vessel heading from Duna, arriving at Jool, and we want to have a Lathe encounter with a Lathe aero capture like we have done before. So I'm going to get us one. There we go. And we should fix the inclination because I've learned this lesson by now. We just tweak this encounter a bit, and here's our vessel, if you remember it, with Bill, Jab and Bob as usual. Going to explore the Jovan system, and here we execute this correction. It's not very big this far out. Of course, you should always do your corrections as far out as possible, as early as possible generally. Let's see, that's the right way around. Let's adjust the inclination like so, using the RCS system to fine-tune this, and we have learned that the way to do this is to set up a maneuver node before you enter Tyler's orbit, and this is the alarm for the launch window from Eve to Moho. Okay, I've forgotten about that. Let's do this. Okay, so is everything refueled and ready to go? No. So we're just gonna fix this. There we go. So now we need to dock the crewed vessel and tank to the front of the small tanker, because it takes a lot of delta V to go to Moho and back. So yeah, these RCS thrusters are not balanced. So let's turn off a selected few. Also, the tank is still suffering from the design flaw, as you could call it, that makes all the RCS thrusters be on one side, which makes this craft a little less easy to navigate or to move. But anyway, we have docked and everything looks good, so let's undock the whole thing, and with our new big supercraft, let's head out to Moho, or that is, let's plan the maneuver which get us to Moho. So let's see which way is prograde. This way. We should go this way. And of course, this maneuver takes quite a lot of time to plan properly. So I'm just gonna skip to the end, where we have a Moho encounter using two maneuver nodes as usual, one ejection and one correction. This transfer we're doing here is by no means a Hohmann transfer, but it's probably the most, or close to the most optimal we can do. And we are going to execute as soon as we can. And here we see one of the problems we are going to have when leaving Eve. The combination of high, or well, really just the high gravity means that we're going to have to burn for a long time, because we need to add a lot of velocity. And the high orbital velocity around Eve means that to burn as early as we need to, we're gonna have to burn a lot of the prograde marker. Like this, it's 45 degrees or more, which is bad. But it still works, since I'm burning, well, anti-radial. That means I'm pushing my periapsis in front of me, because I'm still behind the periapsis. And this means that the orbit more or less takes on a shape that I want it to. So here we are finishing the burn, and of course it's not quite the way we wanted it to be, so we're gonna have to do a correction, and the maneuver nodes are not cooperating. So this is gonna take a while to fix, so we're just gonna cut it all. And we are back, and we... come on. Do we? Yes, we have a Moho encounter still. Good. And this maneuver, this correction, is fairly small and makes quite a lot of sense the way you're doing it. It's compensating for burning off the maneuver node marker earlier. If you have a sense for orbital mechanics, that is, you kind of feel this feels right. So with that maneuver executed, we have everything in place. We're just gonna leave Eve's sphere of influence, like this, cinematic and beautiful as always, and then we're just gonna wait until we have to do the correction burn. But before we do the correction burn, of course, we're going to continue doing the approach to Lathe, because we were kind of interrupted in that. But fortunately, the distances and times when in the Jovan system is so large that this actually worked out without problem. It's funny because, as I've said before, Jool is about the size of Earth, so put some perspective into things. So we have arrived at Lathe. We're going to set up a aero capture pass with the periapse, and we're gonna try to fix the inclination again because, as I said, I learned my lesson. You need to be careful with your inclination early on. So we put a periapsis at 20 kilometers, almost 21 kilometers. This should give us a good orbit. We'll see in a moment because we're in late atmosphere and falling hard. We should have a lot of flames. We might even have a postcard there. And Jool is setting very fast because we are going very fast. And we have captured orbit. Let's see what this ends up looking like. It does look like we're not gonna crash, right? Yeah, we're out of the worst of it, so we can time warp from here. Okay, let's see, what do we got? The encounters look rather good. We should be able to get ourselves an encounter without waiting too much. The inclination also looks decent. I mean, the inclination is terrible, but that's because the station has a terrible inclination. So let's do some corrections, shall we? First, we are going to raise our periapsis so that we stop aerobraking. And then we're going to correct our inclination. You may notice that I don't raise the periapsis enough or too much. It's not really optimal, the encounter we're getting, the second encounter, or at least not as good as I want them to be. This is because, as you see now, our new raised periapsis still takes us through the upper atmosphere, which will mean that the encounter would still not match, so I wasn't very careful. Also, the spaceship is spinning a lot, and this is because we're out of power. Fortunately, we have a crew, so we don't need power, unless we want to use the reaction control system. But we have the reaction control system, but we cannot use the reaction wheel system. That's it. We are using the reaction control system a lot, and the loss of power is still because Jool is in the way. We are in Jool's shadow, so we're just gonna have to wait until that fixes itself. So we have arrived at the station. The lag is tremendous, and we are going to try to dock this thing. However, we are not going to use both parts. This is a two-part modular spaceship. We're only going to use one, really, for the foreseeable future, and that is of course the command module. So we're going to separate these two before we dock them. We need to make sure we have enough RCS in the command module to dock it, so we transfer over some of the RCS from the much larger tanker and we undock. Now my first thought is, well, that's bad because of course we didn't have any electric charge, and the tanker is robotic, so it's a piece of dead space debris. It's deader than a dead fish. But Dawn is very close, and its relative velocity to the station is maybe as much as 0.1 meters per second. So in the time it takes me to dock the command module, it might very well have electric charge and not have drifted significantly far away. So we're just gonna go ahead and dock this command module and see what happens. Of course, this is very slow. You're seeing it 4 times as fast as I saw it, and I still think this is maybe a bit boring. Well, except sometimes you get a very good view. Look at the shadow on the station there. This game never ceases to amaze me. So we're gonna dock this on the small docking port next to the swordfish, because I'm thinking, yeah, that's Dawn, nice. I'm thinking we should do the Tylo mission first, because that spaceship is single use and it will reduce the part count, and we have a lot of parts, so I want to make the parts a bit fewer. What's that? Oh, one of the lights is glitching out. Let's turn off the lights. Because we have sunlight again. The tanker should be operational and hopefully not crashing into us. Can we get this ship in a position where we can time warp a bit to get there sometime? Come on, yes. And let's remember to stop time warping before we glitch through the station. Well, we're finally docked. Now we need to dock this much less agile craft. I am, however, not going to make you watch this. I'm just gonna cut away this very, very lengthy docking procedure to the part where the poorly lit spaceship enters the poorly lit station and we have docking. Almost. Come on. Come on. Close. Magnetics, yes, and woo! We have the station. Delta station is fully assembled. Let's time warp till the day side so we can watch this amazing creation. This amazingly huge space station around Lathe of all places. That's it for this episode. Set the stage for some bigger stuff. Hope to see you next time. Bye!